No.
Call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Approval of the minutes from February 2022. Have we all read the minutes? Is there any discussion or changes?
I move we approve the minutes, but
Okay.
So,
A
Mr.
second?
Chair, I'd recommend we hold off for a second while we wait for Debbie to get back.
Oh,
So she
I
can
didn't know
record
she
motions.
left. I'm sorry. I was looking at other people.
Okay, let's try that. I need to go back and turn on the recorder, so.
Oh.
Has a little more time, but there's that, okay?
Thank you.
You get to practice.
We're live on camera right now.
Oh,
You can.
my hammer was sideways. Good thing I was practicing.
Run it over. Dave, you want to move your name tag?
No, I want to be
Doesn't say
Tanya
Tanya.
tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it sounds like you said Tanya's on her way, right? Yeah.
This is just a temporary position.
Oh, okay.
Watch out, though. I got the gavel.
I didn't have to print all
Can't
this.
have my pencil either.
Oh,
This is,
I bring a state pen with me.
wow, well, this is 1.3 millimeters.
All right, good to go.
Okay. We still call the meeting to order at 6. And approval of the minutes. And we had a second from Lisa. A motion by Lisa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. Appearance of interested citizens. Tammy Croons?
Okay. I just have a couple questions. Tammy from Keizer. We have a park on River and McLeod. It's Whitman Park. Do you guys have any plans for that at all?
Mike Whittam Park, below the ball fields near
Yes.
Keizer Little League.
Yes,
Plans like to develop it, is that what you're asking?
yes.
Not currently. The master plan basically shows that park being somewhat left alone. Not to say that in the future the park couldn't be developed, but currently we plan on kind of leaving the grass being rough mowed. There is a community garden there, and we do make sure that the trees are maintained. Did you have an idea that you would like to see in the park?
We're starting a neighborhood association, Northeast Keizer Association over there. And there's been several of the people that I've talked to that would like to see a small playground, a picnic table, maybe a grill so they can grill because of the openness with the field and right there.
Okay,
Other than that, I don't have any idea yet.
okay. Yeah, well, as your group continues to grow and develop, I mean, we would definitely love to have conversations with that neighborhood. And we just redid our master plan, updated it recently, and kind of did a neighborhood outreach through all of Keizer. And
Right.
that wasn't something we, unfortunately, at the time, didn't really get input on from those that live in the area, but not to say we can't have the conversation in the near future.
Okay?
Okay.
And what's the best way that we can support you guys within Northeast Keizer? Claggett Creek Park is in with us, that little park, and then the ballpark are the only three that I'm aware of in that area.
Okay. I would say contact me, and I'd love to just have maybe a sit-down conversation over maybe half an hour or something, and we can maybe even go look at some of the sites together. And then we can talk about, kind of what's going on in the neighborhood and what your guys' thoughts are and what the city's thoughts are, and we can go from there.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'll give you a card. Thank you.
One other thing.
Yes?
It's always nice to have, eyes on the street. We get by there as often as we can to each park. But, eyes on the street, a tent's just been set up, it's been there for 3 days. We want to know those kind of things. There's
Okay.
graffiti, just, those are the things we need to find out about.
All right, perfect. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was our only signed up new business. We have a grant request. It's stapled to your agenda.
It's two-sided, and you also have in a plastic sleeve, the park rules. I want to have those for you every time we have a grant request. So if you'll leave those, you can, have them there to look at, but then I'll put them out every time we have a grant request.
Okay. So, who's speaking for the project?
Hello, good evening. I'm Michelle Rowland Schwartz. I'm with the Keizer Public Arts Commission. I'm pleased to be here this evening with our chair, Kim, and our featured artist, Didier, to submit a request to you all for in addition to the Chalmers Jones Park, the water feature. Didier is a mosaic artist, and we're interested in, you can kind of see the color photo here, adding a mosaic feature to the splash pad just outside the doors here. The total cost of the project is $11,200. Thanks to Lori Christopher, who's a member of our Public Arts Commission, she was able to access $1,100 from the Keizer Community Foundation. We also have an additional $50 in donations. And the Keizer Public Arts Commission is pending approval of $500 set aside from our annual budget to contribute toward the project. And our hope from the Parks Advisory Board is that you all might contribute $9,550. Happy to answer any questions, although I will say we have our wonderful artist here who will be better able to answer any questions that you might have. But our understanding is he is able to order those supplies, create the mosaic in his art studio, and then over the course of several days, install the feature so that it can be completed by the end of June of this year. So happy to answer any questions, and again, bring up our fabulous artist to answer any questions you might have.
Hello, just for clarity, was this the same one that was presented last year?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, thank you. I thought that was a great presentation. And if I remember, there was actually some material shown at that time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, go ahead.
So I just want to note, and I think, it's a minor detail, but typically applications for grants are due 2 weeks prior, but I recognize the need for the timing on this. I think the only concern that I have about the project is, Robert, do you see with the project estimated completion date of June 30th, is this going to impact use of the splash pad during that time frame?
It could. We generally open the splash fountain right about the time school gets out on days that are over 70 degrees. We generally have been operating it Wednesday through Sunday from noon to 7 p.m. So if the artist could work around that time frame, then there would be no impact. If the artist needed to work in that area during that time frame, then we would need to close the water feature during days that there's activity in.
I'm just gonna take 3 days in the place.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna do everything in my shop. So I'm gonna take 1 day for clean the area, prepare the wall, and start install, and second day, the ground. Third day is just look, something happened or everything is okay, that's it.
Okay. So if there's any chance you could have all the work done by June 15th, then we wouldn't even have the fountain open yet. So that would be obviously the best goal in mind, knowing that there's chances that that could be postponed.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, I just know, I mean, we get a lot of comments about, especially when we start hitting the May timeframe, starts getting warm, people are like, why isn't this open? Why isn't this open? And so I think it's important to be mindful of that, but also try to meet the requirement of getting this project done potentially. So.
Any other questions?
Point of information from Robert. We haven't had any grants this year, right?
We've got-
We have $12,500 remaining in the account, so
Oh,
plenty of money.
thank you. Getting late in the year for them too, okay?
Clay?
Yeah, did I miss out on the size of the mosaic? Was I,
It's the lower, so the, if you
no,
go
I
out
see
to
that, I just wonder the size. I mean, do we know it? No, actually, the total size of it, what's the,
It's like,
I mean, am I not seeing it in here somewhere?
I don't have the
It's 80, like 80 square feet.
Any other discussion? And are we looking to a vote on this tonight? So does anybody want to make a motion or place a motion? Oh, yes, it is. I'm just not being loud enough. Again, I'm very sorry for me being late. I think that's why I'm kind of calm, because I'm like, oh no, I'm here late, so I'm so sorry about that. Yes.
Quick question. Is this on? Yeah.
I know.
What is the design?
This is the design.
No. I mean, like, what does it mean? What does it represent, or does it represent?
Well, it's something graphic, use the color and the movement to represent the water. It's nothing specified, but it's like a movement,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, looks like a wave.
so you're an expert, right? This isn't something you're doing for fun. I mean, I've heard really good things. I had a really good conversation with Mayor Clark about this project. Because it's, I'm gonna say this, I think it's a little bit outside of what we normally consider a parks grant, right? Because this is art, but it is part of the park. And I think it's gonna add, something special to an area that is used by a lot of people, and there's a lot of really good exposure. You know, it's a lot of money, and it's kind of an unusual grant. I like that you've got about $1,650, but in this case, it's almost kind of like the story polls where, you know, we're working with you as an expert to bring this project forward. I personally really like it. I think it's going to add something really, really great to the park. So I guess, Michelle, a question, is there a target fundraising beyond what we're trying to get here that the Arts Commission is trying to bring forward? Like, is there any other effort to try to get additional funds?
There was an effort to submit a grant application to the Oregon Community Foundation,
Okay.
but the timeline on that would push out installation, if we were even invited to submit a full application, would push that out to 2023. And that is, again, only if we're invited to submit an application. We submitted a letter of interest. So if Parks is able to support this project, obviously it would allow us to install the art installation much sooner. And I will say, in terms of the framing and the conversations that we've had with the Oregon Community Foundation and this kind of symbolizing water and movement, and that being very near the story poles, which of course represent much of our agricultural history here in Oregon and Keizer and Marion County, tying kind of all of those pieces together was something that felt really meaningful to us. But again, with the Oregon Community Grant, we don't know if we'll be invited to submit a full application. So it could be a no.
Okay.
And then that would, of course, delay future efforts.
So, Madam Chair, I want to put a motion on the table. I'd like to move to approve $9,550, a grant not to exceed $9,550, and encourage I just lost it, where's it at? The Keizer Public Arts Commission to continue to fundraise for this. So I'll preface that with saying, not to exceed $9,550. So if they can get, an extra $500, then it'll bring it down to $9,050. But I think this is a good investment. I think it's, we're dealing with an expert here. It's not like this is just a person coming off the street wanting to do a project. So not to exceed $9,550 and encourage the Public Arts Commission to continue to fundraise for this project to offset costs.
Are we, so are we, somebody going to make a,
Discussion, I'd like to continue discussion if we
so
may.
with the discussion will happen after,
Okay.
so the motion's
All
on the
right.
table.
So I'll second that.
Okay, so Lisa seconded, and now discussion. Is he getting it? Yes. Okay, Clay, do you want to go first, or
Yes, thank
Matthew?
you. So one of my concerns on something this nice is obviously vandalism and graffiti. How easy is this type of a product or application cleaned, repaired?
Very easy to clean because it's tiled. We can use some product and clean with water. And gonna looks like nothing happened.
Okay, and are individual, let's say that it's damaged, are there pieces that can be repaired, or does the whole thing need to be redone?
No, if something happened because of vandalism, then I can take care of that. It's just fix that part,
The portion, it would
Yeah.
need, the whole thing would not
No,
need to be
no.
replaced? Okay,
just the portion.
thank you.
Matthew?
So looking at funding, that mural project at the end of last year at Keizer Rapids, that was for the last budget, correct?
I don't think we funded that, did we?
We actually didn't end up funding that.
Oh, we didn't?
No, funds came from another source to pay for that. It was so minimal,
Yeah, it was really
that they
small.
actually ended up having all of it taken care of, so
And then the disc golf,
that's,
That was last year, wasn't it?
that was,
Right at the end.
Or that was
no,
first part
that
of
was
it.
this year.
that was
So,
the first part of this year.
yeah, that has already been handled.
That's already done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think historically what we've seen, particularly under COVID, is it's actually been really tough to get projects. And I know the last couple of years, it's been one of those things where, we heard from Robert last meeting, let's try to find projects, because there's not a lot. I have a feeling that's going to change as life kind of returns to normal a little bit in the next fiscal year, but, and part of it, I think, is just outreach and making sure we're encouraging people in the community to bring, projects and stuff forward, so.
And remind me, when is our next set of money? What's the date?
July 1st.
July 1st.
Yep.
So that still leaves about $3,000 left over in the, so it's not like we're completely eliminating the entire fund. We still have $3,000 available.
Correct.
But it's incumbent on as many people as possible to get out there and encourage these types of projects. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Oh, just kidding. No, go ahead.
One more thing. In the event that it is damaged or destroyed or anything like that, are there warranties? What would be the cost to rebuild it? How would that whole process look? And, is that an insurance question with the city, or?
If I may, I think along with that, I'm not sure there's a warranty on that type of thing. My question would be, how weather resistant is this type of thing? And 2 years down the road, tiles start falling off. Is that something you've done these before enough to know that that's not going to happen?
I'm doing this a lot of places in Puerto Rico. Here, I always use the best material. I don't look to keep money up. I take the best material for this project because I know the weather here, it's very cold, summer, can hit 3-digit. I take everything mine.
Along with that, I think this might go along with that, Matthew, so I buy a new car, I get a certain warranty with that car. We paid $10,000 for this piece of art, which will be beautiful, it sounds like. Is there any type of, for the next 3 years, if there's a problem, I'll make sure it's fixed or done back to where it's supposed to be, or where?
That's the best. I will use this kind of tiles because it lasts forever.
Okay.
Lasts forever. Yeah.
Thank you.
No? Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Wonderful. Congratulations. Let's get this going. What? I'm like, woo, boom. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. And we're going to be there June 15th when that,
You're gonna enjoy that.
exciting. Very cool. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's dive into parks reports. I'm up. Country Glen, I just went around Country Glen this morning. It looks really fantastic. I did have some questions, specifically Northview again, looked gorgeous. Signage. Signage is looking like kind of worn, specifically at Northview.
Which signs?
When you park, the sign for the park,
The actual Northview Park
Yep.
sign?
right?
So, could be one of two things. Oftentimes those signs, they're made of foam.
Okay,
And over winter, a lot of times we have to come by and clean them after, like, kind of get grimy, all the leaves and moss and not seeing sunlight. The other thing, it could be just getting aged, so I'll take a look at that one and
Okay.
see. We've repainted a few of them, so I'll take a look.
and then at Country Glen, it's got a bunch of stuff attached to the back of the sign. Electrical, looks like all of it.
That's our irrigation control.
And all of that's common?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's just kind of a place to hide it that makes sense. It's that or you
Put a
sink a
box
pole
up.
next to it
Yep.
and put it on the pole.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. But everything else looked great.
cool.
Next, Gwen.
Hi.
You should have a light, the light comes on.
There's no light.
Try it now.
Hello?
It's on.
Yep, just pull it close.
Okay, I've been over at Bob Newton Park, and it still needs a basketball net, still missing, and it still needs a new, I was talking to a couple there, and they were saying that we're supposed to be getting a new pickleball net
Pickleball
over
net?
Uh-oh.
there. Is it tennis
Have you been
court?
talking to Clay?
Oh, I thought it was,
Tennis.
Just kidding.
We do have a
The
tennis
the
net.
net
We
is,
have a tennis net will be
I thought it was
installed.
a pickleball court.
it's the tennis court net that needs to be replaced.
The tennis ball net needs to be replaced. All the tables were in really good condition, and it was clean but kind of soggy. Like I just said, I met a guy and a girl there, and they're probably in their early 20s, and they'd like to get involved with the parks and stuff, volunteering and everything. I told them about the Civic Center cleanup and everything, so hopefully they'll be there. I'm gonna email them. And also, they have a lot of tables, but they have one tiny little barbecue there. So maybe we could get a couple barbecues there since we have money, right?
Since we have money,
Don't
We
we have
could look
money?
into
We have
that.
12,500.
we'll have to get that prioritized.
Pardon me?
So we'll have to prioritize it, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody
Figure
wants,
it out,
I
right.
mean, that'd be cute, nice to get that. Okay. And then Claga Creek, and that was very clean, nothing was broken, tables were in good condition. The dumpsters were full, so I'm thinking that's a good thing, because there were big bags with so, I think, what day did what day is the garbage come?
Fridays.
On
and then
Fridays, okay.
Pretty soon we'll be upping it to 2 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was up, like all the way to the top, so. And that's, like I said, that's a good thing. And there was lots of branches in the creek, and it looked kind of like a dam starting to build, like around there.
At Claggett?
Yeah, Claggett.
Just curious where at, north side, south
Okay.
side, middle? We've
Right
had a
off of
beaver,
Dearborn.
we've had a beaver working in there.
That's what I thought. I thought,
So,
oh, that must be a dam
Curious
from a
if he's
beaver.
not, we have not seen a dam yet. We
Yeah.
figured he was taking everything downstream, but now you have my curiosity.
Okay, I thought you'd laugh if I said, kind of looks like a beaver
Oh,
dam.
he's been cutting very large trees and
Yeah.
Did you take any damn pictures?
I should have took some damn pictures, but I didn't. Why didn't I? I don't know why.
I know, right? I'm
Okay,
really
you know
proud
what,
of you for that.
there's
That
the
was-
basketball, I mean, the baseball
Yes.
thing there. It's right in that area where
Okay.
it's real open,
Uh-huh.
and you can see it right down there.
Okay, we'll
Like I
take a
said,
look.
there's a whole lot of branches, like, up there, and then, I went, gosh, that looks like, I never saw a beaver
I
dam
will-
before, but that sure looked like one.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very good.
Will you
And
leave it
that's-
then, or do you?
I'll work with our environmental department on what to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know water
Now, you're not gonna
conservancy
hurt the
engaged.
beaver, right?
That needs a hat.
You're not gonna hurt the beaver, right?
Not gonna what?
You're not gonna hurt the beaver, right?
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
It might get relocated or something. I have
Okay,
no
you can
idea.
relocate.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, 'cause
We
I was
definitely
thinking
can't
if it
have
is
a beaver flooding the park out, so I mean,
Yeah,
you know, unfortunately, there's certain times where you have to take action, but there's only certain things you can do, so that's why I work with them.
okay. And that's about it.
Awesome. David,
David, Northview, North Ridge is still undeveloped. Has been for a long time. And Hidden Creek, I've been working in Detroit and I didn't have a chance to go see Hidden Creek. Sorry.
is that because it's hidden and you can't find it?
I thought that's what he was gonna say.
Detroit at all. Oh, actually, the survey crews that worked out there in those subdivisions called it Hidden Ditch.
It's beautiful, and I walked it this morning. The signs are changed. They look fantastic, so everything looked good.
Good.
Hidden Creek, I found it.
It got mowed this afternoon, so it looks even better than when you walked
Oh,
through.
good, perfect.
Wow.
Okay, Katie.
I don't know if you can hear me. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Meadows looks wonderful. Looks great. Very nice out there. I like it. Ben Miller, there's some people that have been very busy with graffiti on the playground with some very unpleasant words that they have decided to. So I don't know if you can even clean that up. It looks like permanent marker, so.
We will do our best.
But other than that, that one looks fine too, so.
Okay, Lisa.
I went to Ryan Hill yesterday and it's beautiful. I mean, it's clean. It's open. There was nobody there. I've never been there when the water feature is on. Is it ever on?
It's never on.
Okay. Well, okay.
You just
It's
missed
like
it. They
it's
must have
like
turned
the
it
movie.
off right before you
It's
showed.
funny.
I'm sorry.
You're new to it, sorry.
It's got a motion sensor.
Yeah.
So it did run at one time,
Okay.
but the design of it failed where the water recycles.
Oh,
And so it would need to be entirely, the entire island would need reconstructed. So we've kind of embraced it as a dry creek bed for now, which still has landscape aesthetics, but to get it flowing water again would take a lot of effort.
okay.
Not that it's impossible, but
Well, I mean, and it's winter, and so
Yeah.
I would think that these things would be turned off during the winter anyway.
Correct.
I just saw like hoses and things, like, oh, I bet that's supposed to be a water feature.
Mhm.
It is a
Mhm.
hidden
There we
water
go.
feature. There we go. But the beaver are leaving it alone, so.
that's a good thing. We'll take it.
And then, I live close to Willamette Manor. It looks good. I mean, people are using it. I didn't inspect all the playground equipment, so I don't know if anybody's been at it with a marker. But, you know, it's,
Did you get that one broken spring toy fixed?
Yes.
so you can go back to the park now, David.
Nice.
Sorry. So, yeah,
And-
that looks good.
Keizer Rapids, any
Oh, my
report
goodness.
outs? Do you want to start?
I've seen lots of beaver at Keizer Rapids, but they're in the river. I've also seen beaver damage down by the floodplains. And I don't know if park people or just random, visitors came by with chainsaws and cut some of the down, trees that were kind of across paths in the disc golf area. But they did that because we've been stepping over them for months, and somebody came and did that, and So it's easier to walk around.
Good.
And we talked before the beginning of the meeting about doing the stuff, the improvements to that field.
That's in my staff report, yep.
So, but it was very exciting this morning to see all the changes.
Good.
Any other findings at Keizer Rapids?
So
Go ahead.
it sounds like there continues to be a problem with theft and vandalism in the bathrooms. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah, so there was a thread on the old social media this weekend about a woman that ended up bringing toilet paper down and leaving it because like the last couple, 3 times she's been down there, there's nothing there because it's getting stolen or, yeah. It's really unfortunate.
That's 2 reasons. One, we do not have weekend staff on duty, so we fill the toilet papers Friday.
Right.
If by Sunday afternoon, there's that many people using the park, then unfortunately it could be out of toilet paper by Sunday afternoon. It's possible, although we generally fill with a lot of toilet paper. We have had lots of kids down there being ornery, I will say. We had more vandalism at that bathroom this weekend, or last weekend. They ripped the door handle off, gone. And they shoved mud and sticks inside the keyhole to our maintenance closet, so we couldn't get in to get our stuff, so.
I just
Yeah,
think, I
it's-
think there's,
Pretty consistent, 2-3 times a month, something pretty major happens.
I'd be interested, Robert, if you can quantify the damage that's happened down there. And I think we really have to have a philosophical discussion about what the right thing is to, how to engage more productive or kind behavior. And I don't know what that is. I don't know how I don't know if it's cameras on the outside to try to dissuade people from doing certain things, but that's such a, conceptually, it's a good idea to stop the behavior, but at the same time, it's like one of those things that's like, kind of feels like a little bit of an invasion. But, if this is something that, as Keizer Rapids continues to grow, right, if it's gonna start causing more and more and more of a financial burden because of the maintenance, just for things that are not normal wear and tear, I don't know what I'm asking, I don't know the question I'm asking, but it's just really frustrating. I think there's a lot of people that have put a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of money into trying to make that park nice, and it's just not, the value's not being reciprocated, I think, and that's just frustrating.
My thought would be that, we've had the discussion about video and that that's too much storage space.
Right.
I think trail cams would be a possibility, of at least getting some stills of people, and possibly having somebody that you could at least have a conversation with. Right now, you don't even know who to have the conversation with.
Yeah, I've had the conversation with our IT department recently, and storage is less of a concern nowadays.
Yeah.
They have looked into possibly transmitting Wi-Fi from this building clear to the park. And there's certain receivers apparently they can do that with nowadays. So that would help for various reasons. We could provide Wi-Fi in the park, but also allow us to have some good cameras that could communicate directly to this building. Live feed.
Right.
So again, though, is that what we want? Do we want cameras in all our parks? Well, maybe we need cameras in certain areas of certain parks. I don't know.
Right.
Well, I think, with the shade sails being destroyed, that's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
That's not pocket change.
Well, it's costing us some money.
The bathrooms is a routine thing, and the bathrooms should be like such a simple thing not to destroy, because when you need it and it's not there because you've destroyed it.
Yeah. It's a small group of younger.
Is it happening? Is there a time of the day that it's happening and you're seeing more routine of that happening?
Yes, right before it closes, right before dark. That is the number one time.
Is it lit at night?
Yeah, we have
Yes.
lights around the building.
Do we know who it is? Do we have an idea? If we know it's a
So-
small group of people, do we know who it is?
Maybe. The police did make contact with a small group of, I'll say teenagers, I think they're teenagers, during one of the pretty heavy vandalisms that we took place about a month ago. And I've even talked to those kids. I'm really not sure where that went, to be honest with you. I still have not even seen a police report on it.
Because I'm typing an email right now asking the question.
Yeah.
So I'm,
Yeah. So maybe they might know. The problem that, like, kind of the answer I've received from police is if nobody catches them doing it,
Right.
then it's really hard to say they did it. Like you could have a camera outside of a bathroom and the kid goes in the bathroom and makes a big mess of it and walks out. Well, how do you prove it was that person? Now you're saying, well, it's only 14-year-old that went in there in the last hour, but you can't do that. So it's tricky. It's very tricky.
Because all they have to do is say, oh, it was like that when I went in there.
Yeah.
No proof otherwise.
Right.
Yep.
And I've talked to neighbors, and since that new bathroom was built, they were saying since the lights were out there, that it feels like there are more people that will drive up there and like hang out
Yep.
and mess around in the parking lot because it's lit now. at
Lighting
night.
can attract people as
Right.
well as deter
Yes.
people.
I mean, it's
It's
like,
a
it does
slippery
the
slope.
opposite.
It's a double-edged sword. That's why we're very cautious of lighting anything in any park.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's like, there's
It-
people out there all the time with their playing
People generally
music
feel
and
safer
their-
in light, but also people are attracted to light.
Yep. So,
Matthew?
Has anybody engaged with McNary High School, like with the kids themselves? So I mean, the reason why I say that is at Chemawa Indian School, there was a lot of graffiti, a lot of vandalism, things like that. And we basically created a peer court, right? Had a bunch of student leaders, those kinds of things. But those student leaders didn't just create the peer court, they actually invested into the school. So they were taking part of the cleaning, they were taking part of creating murals, basically the entire aesthetic of the campus. And then with their peer support, they began to put pressure on the other students to take care of it. I mean, basically, and the concept was, we're borrowing this from the kids that are coming after us, right? So we have to take care of it. So there was a concept behind that of that self-accountability, and the students began to create that accountability. And we began to see it work. I mean, the vandalism went way down. I mean, you still had some, but the students started policing themselves, essentially. So I don't know if there's a way to, with parks, with the city, with the police, with the school admin, of approaching the school and, something.
I know we have peer court. I don't know what level that's at. I really have no idea.
Peer court's very effective.
Peer court's amazing.
My fear is if it's only at McNary, they're not targeting a young enough group of kids. Because I'll be honest with you, a lot of these ones are a lot younger.
Middle
Early
I
middle
believe
school.
that.
Oh, I
Early middle school.
I think there's sort of a middle road here, and I do a lot of service projects with the middle schools and McNary. And I think what I'd like to do is, and I don't know how to do it so it's effective, but engage the 3 schools and just bring them down there. And if we're seeing an uptick, right? Engage and just say, hey, look, we're going to get out here and we're going to do this and we're going to help kind of clean things up and make it nice. Because I think you're absolutely right. I mean, in the early days of 4 or 5 years ago, I had middle schoolers out there and high schoolers out there probably 2 or 3 times a year. And we saw, I think, a gradual decline in sort of that kind of negative behavior. And unfortunately, it's just been one of those things like with the schools going remote, it's been really, really tough to get the schools to engage. So I think I think you're right on the ball there, is just kind of getting that sort of buy-in and that sort of positive reinforced behavior. We're doing our Soggy Day event in April, and we can talk a little bit about that. And I think there's ways to come at it from a proactive approach. And I know with the ROTC kids, like, they're not going to accept that kind of behavior, especially once.
Right, you engage all of those student-led programs, the peer courts, the student council, RJOT, TOC, things like that. And, I mean, they begin to engage, and they will self-police. I mean, sometimes to the point where you don't want them to, but it's effective. It's more effective than an adult.
I think what would be good, though, the next couple go-arounds, when you've got some significant stuff, let's get some photos, and we can engage the schools I can email the different schools and just say, look, this is the kind of behavior we've been seeing, and just, maybe we can approach it a certain way.
Yeah, and also our environmental staff, one of their employees here at the city, their job is to basically do a lot of outreach with schools. And they work closely with parks on projects. We've just recently rehired some vacant positions, so we're kind of training up people. But I think that's another great avenue to get the conversation going, both for our environmental health and parks. And that'd be a good partnership as well.
Yeah, Jenny.
Yep, Jenny Amen.
Oh, sorry.
You said something, Matt, if you don't mind me keep going for a quick second.
Do it.
I mean, I've worked here almost 15 years, and I hate blaming COVID for things, but honestly, since these kids were told to do less,
Right.
the amount of vandalism that we've seen increase has been through the roof for the last year and a half, 2 years. Through the roof. It's just constant.
Right.
It's like, something's gotta change.
Along with what Matt said with photos, are we tracking the hours involved so that we can kind of quantify the man hours, the cost involved? And it's like, look, this has run the city X number of dollars. We were all young, dumb, and stupid at one time and did things that we shouldn't have done. And if somebody would have put a figure on that, some of these brains may think a little differently and go, well, I didn't realize that mud in the lock just cost the city $400 to get somebody out there, and those kind of things. If we're tracking it, we can actually go back and say, this is the damage that we've incurred, and over the last year and a half or 2 years, it's estimated to be this, and prior to COVID, it's been this, so hopefully it'll die down once things get back to normal. But you get a hold of some kids and you can quantify that with them, and some it may help, some it may not, but it sure be nice to know what close to that, what the number might be.
But Matthew's absolutely right. The Peer Court is such an effective tool. When they first started the Peer Court, however many dozens of years ago, I sat on it. And when you have people your age talking to you about sort of the consequences and the choices you make, it reciprocates really well. And your recidivism of that behavior is drastically declined, especially, and the added part of if the peer court's out there and engaging in the correctional, or the fix of the issue, right? So I think it's one of those things like, if we do have a person where it's known that they're doing a behavior, and they come in and they go through the peer court, it's astonishing to see how quickly a person's mindset changes when they're like, hey, that 15 minutes of fun just cost me 500 hours of community service, or whatever it is, right? So that's really interesting. I'd be curious to see, maybe Counselor Starr, if there's an opportunity to find out maybe the status of the peer court, that might be helpful. I don't know if they're still doing it right now, right?
I will find out for you. Anything else? I just think about back in the day, back in my day, I think our parents would have been held responsible, right? Not just us getting in trouble and doing community service and, whatever, but our parents would have had to financially be responsible for it. So, in addition to peer court, that's part of my question that I asked is, what are these conversations about responsibility and how far does that go? Because I think parents might parent a little differently if they thought they were going to be responsible for the $500 cost to clean up or fix the vandalism. Just a thought.
Right. There's a lot of other barriers, I think, that come in the way. There are parents right now that aren't even home because they're working to survive, right? So I think that definitely encouraging families and parents to be involved is absolutely correct, but I totally have seen the power of how peer influence can affect and accountability in that way. So I also, Robert, you're mentioning about lack of activities. I'm wondering about, could we bring, kind of partnering with what you had said, more activities to the parks, bringing that awareness and getting more of their, because at that age, it's really a difficult age where the park is for those younger kids, and there's really that range that it doesn't really capture there. I mean, yes, there's trails and different things, but like, can we get more of their voice as a participant in the parks potentially, or?
Pickleball can solve that.
Okay, pickleball is a great recommendation.
Solves everything.
I'm sorry?
Are we supposed to have a youth counselor?
For parks?
I don't know about parks, but
We haven't been able to get one.
We have one occasionally. We always have the one for council.
Sure, yeah,
But finding,
Miranda.
the ones for the different committees are sporadic.
We haven't
So-
had one committee.
Matt, you're really good at identifying potential youth to serve. Miranda's great. Do you know of anybody else that might?
This late in the year might be tough.
Yeah.
But I think collectively, if we look at the youth that we've got in our community, this is the youth. Thank you for bringing it up. The youth participation does change perspective, and when you get a young person on one of these committees early, Miranda Coleman, the youth liaison, I brought her in 7th grade on the Watershed Council, and it's instilled in her sort of just a wholesale community buy-in, and to the point where she's led multiple projects on her own, and she's very actively engaged. And so, but it's hard. I mean, because it does take a lot of time and investment in that person. But I think the reward is exponential. And so, I would say anybody on the dais, if there's somebody out there, a young person that might be looking for something to get engaged with, this is a really good opportunity between parks. I mean, all of them. Planning Commission, you got to find a really special young person that wants to listen to very long, droning-on conversation. But Debbie's rolling her eyes because she knows she's at all those meetings. But yeah, I think that's certainly, a valuable tool. Yeah, I think it's worth looking into.
So 7th grade is about the starting age?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, it was with the Watershed Council, it's a little bit unique because I think in order to be a youth counselor or youth committee member, they've got to be in high school, correct? So, and that's where, with the Watershed Council, I can bring in youth as young as middle school. And so, and we don't necessarily have to have them be on the council, but for even, if you can find a really motivated freshman that wants to get in this, I mean, they could track through multiple committees through their first few years and then be in the position, potentially take the council liaison position, which, is a pretty powerful thing for those young people, especially in the leadership roles and the various things they bring to the table. So, but I think the bottom line is just kind of re-engaging young people and getting them active.
Yeah.
And it's so cool, man. I'll tell you what. I've had kids, literally 18 years old walking out the door to go to college, and I've had kids that are 3 years old, and you give them a shovel and say, "Hey, dig this hole because we're going to put a tree there." And when they get to see the fruit of their labor, it's super rewarding. And they immediately buy in. In fact, the one young man that I think he was 7 helped us with our first tree plant at the Arboretum, and I've seen him occasionally walking around, and he will always stop at his tree.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's his tree.
Yep.
Cool.
So time to get our kids back involved.
Yeah.
There's a guy down in LA, they call him the gangster gardener.
Yep.
And he got kids off the streets by creating gardens, building gardens. And he says, if you bring a kid to the store and you buy kale, and you bring that kale home and you cook it, chances of that kid eating it are really, really small. But if they grow it, if they plant it and they grow it and they water it and they harvest it, they will eat it. So we just need to be gangster gardeners.
Sounds good. We got a lot of work ahead then. It says that's great. I'm interested to hear how that phases out, because it's a lot of great conversation, but what role is everybody going to play in partaking in that and kind of working towards that? So I'm interested to hear what the environmental team has like potential for, like maybe they can host something, or because that's part of the role as potentially that could partner. But I'd be happy to reach out to like Whitaker Elementary or Middle School If anybody wants to take Claggett potentially, or like start having those conversations, because it's a lot of great talk, but the action behind it is probably going to be the next phase, so. Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
And Claggett has a garden there. I mean,
at the school.
at the school.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
wonder
that's
if, you could reach out to,
I think my perspective is talk is great, but when you have the opportunity to engage them and give them a targeted goal,
right?
the outcome is much more fruitful.
Yeah.
There's been times, particularly when we were doing the parks fee survey and all that kind of stuff, like, until they understood sort of the consequence of what it was we were asking them to do, there was no engagement, right? And so I have some ideas, in fact, I'll talk about them on how we can directly start to engage very quickly. And then, it's kind of one of those things with the Watershed Council in particular. I've got a bunch of projects. I'm looking at doing about 1,000 square foot, what's that thing called? Pollinator garden. And that's something that youth can do, right? I mean, get them in there, moving dirt, planting seeds, doing all those kind of things. And it's kind of one of those things, like, I don't think the city has sort of a natural role for those kinds of things. That's why the Watershed Council is really simple, because, I call Robert and I say, hey, I want to do a project. He almost, I don't think you've ever told me no yet.
No.
But, if you want to participate, I do have open council positions, and I've welcomed members of this group multiple times. David's engaged quite a bit, but that's a really good jumping off point, because we have that sort of active, engaged opportunity. And so, I don't want to do all the work, right, on the Watershed Council. And so one of my goals as the chair there is to bring people in that are motivated to do the work, to bring the projects forward, to execute the projects. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, for an individual project, a 2-hour project on the weekend, I'll put probably 5 to 10 hours of time into it, not to mention, all the follow-up and the reaching out to the schools and all this. So it is a lot of investment. You have to be willing to sort of prioritize that time.
Right.
And if there's other groups, right? There's peer-led groups. It doesn't matter. If there's groups that want to engage and do these projects, all I gotta do is talk to Robert. And, it doesn't have to be the Watershed Council. It can be any kind of group. There's some legality with how the forms and stuff have to go for the waivers and all that kind of stuff. But that's just a matter of sitting down and having a conversation. So it doesn't have to be the Watershed Council. If there's a group that feels very motivated to bring young people to the table to do projects, I'd say first start with Robert, kind of conceptualize the idea, and then ultimately city attorney probably have to look at the legality of it and the sort of structure of it. But there's definitely a lot of opportunity, right? And I think it plays hand in hand. So you bring a group forward and they're like, hey, we really want to do something. We have money, right? And we have youth project money. So we have $3,000 remaining for this fiscal year. If somebody's really motivated to want to do a project and bring a group of kids forward, guess what? You're sitting in the catbird seat to be able to get some funding for a particular project. So that's just my plug.
Got it?
Didn't answer your question.
It didn't, but that's okay. I don't think that there was really a question, there's not an answer. So, and that is moving us on to staff reports.
All right, really quick before.
Yeah.
Can I? Go ahead. I missed my report last month. I apologize for not being here, so I wanted to give it really quick on Paul Messia and the baseball park. Went out there this morning to the ballpark. They're putting new roofs on the dugouts. It's actually looking really nice out there. It's very clean. They were mowing the grass. All the trees were clear. Everything was really nice. Paul Messia, when you're at the front of the park, the second tree has 2 massive limbs that are just kind of hanging.
Okay.
They've broken and they're just kind of hanging. And then about 20 feet into the park, it looks like a small tree down the ravine kind of fell. It's leaning into the park about 15 feet, something like that.
Okay.
Other than that, it looks really good.
All right. Well, I mentioned the vandalism at the bathroom, so I won't talk about that again. planted 27 additional trees again, so I think we're up to 58 new trees planted throughout our parks. So pretty much you go to a park, you're probably gonna see at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 12 new trees planted somewhere in the park. So that feels really good since we had that big ice storm and lost a lot of trees and anticipate losing more trees in the future because of severe pruning and just some not looking too good. So trying to get a little bit of a jump start on the lack of trees in the future. So our guys were very busy doing that for the last pretty much a month straight. And all their free time that they don't have, they fit in planting a bunch of trees, which is really cool. Keizer Rapids, getting a lot of people asking what's going on down at Keizer Rapids right now. Down by the boat ramp to the east of the parking lot, the big open field where you can walk around it. We are having that area leveled, irrigated, and hydro-seeded. So you'll see some construction fence going up, some erosion control fencing and straw wattles just to contain the site, keep it clean. And we have a company, Abacoa Landscape, that will be down there for the next probably 2 months, in and out at times, doing various stages of the project. They plan on bringing some pretty large agriculture equipment in to do the leveling. I don't know if any of you saw what we had done when we took out the orchard that surrounds the big toy, but similar equipment to that. So that will be, it's not designated for soccer fields or baseball or anything like that. On the master plan, it's open play area. You want to go down and throw frisbee with your kids, great place to do it. Want to have a picnic, great place to do it. Just kind of leisure, use it as you want. Open space, obviously, if we have, another future event that we hosted,
The Eclipse?
the Eclipse, can't remember didn't we have some fancy name for that? Maybe not. Anyways, how many campers did we have down there? 300?
300 plus.
It was a lot. And they all stayed in that lumpy, bumpy field, and none of them complained about it because they were watching an eclipse, and that was so cool, they didn't want to complain about the field they were staying in, but we were like, man, too bad this wasn't nice for them. So, in the future, we have a nice level field in that park that we can use for various things.
Next eclipse.
The next eclipse, yeah.
You know what, you can be in charge of the planning committee for that one. In 125 years.
You'll be serving.
Yeah. And then Bob Newton Park, it was mentioned how soggy it is there. It is kind of a rather soggy park. It kind of, the land just naturally drains down to that drainage ditch. I do actually have an Eagle Scout who came forward wanting a project. And if y'all know where the footbridge is that crosses the drainage ditch, there's some bricks that have been falling in, and it's very, very soggy there. So this Eagle Scout's actually going to do a drain line project for us to hopefully capture some of the surface water and get it underground sooner. So hopefully it's not so soggy as you're approaching the bridge. And then he plans to restack the bricks and glue them together with epoxy and just do a little better job of securing the bank for erosion as you enter onto that bridge, and then add some crushed gravel to, again, help with the mud. So hopefully in the near future, we will see that project take place and solve some of the soggy issues, at least in a portion of the park. So that's all I had.
If I wanted to say that at Keizer Rapids, the great big piles of bark chips that got put around the trees look fantastic. I would
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so.
Rotary, and who else helped with the wood chips around the tree arboretum?
That was all Rotary.
All Rotary.
I didn't get invited to that party.
Now, is that real wood chips or is that engineered wood fiber?
Real
Wood chips.
Real wood
Yes.
chips.
But there were stacks for a while that
Yeah.
were waiting.
Yeah.
So they seasoned properly so that they, it was perfection.
Weather postponed that project a couple times.
Yeah, but I just
And
wanted
they have
to
a
say
little
it
bit more to
was
go,
nice.
but yes, it does help a lot.
Counselor Starr.
Well, I want to start out by apologizing to Mr. Lawyer. That was meant to be a joking response, and my intent was very different from what I expect or assume the impact was received, so I apologize for that.
What'd you say?
Anything else you want me to do? It seemed like it came across not as I intended it, so my apologies for that.
That was a great question. You do so much. I appreciate you more than you could possibly imagine.
So, a couple things. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the presentation that we had at City Council last night by the Chamber in regards to the potential of relocating Keizer Fest to Keizer Rapids Park. And I'm assuming that would be a no. You are not aware of that, Matt?
That was an event.
You're aware?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was there
So
last night.
I will encourage, I'm sorry, what was
I
that?
said I was there last night.
You were there, yeah, Lisa was there. But I just want to make sure that you get, maybe we can encourage them to come and make a presentation to the Parks Board, since it does impact the park, and a very large park. And it would take some significant preparation, I think, what I understood from their presentation last night to get that ready. So I think it would be good for the Parks Board to hear that presentation. I know nothing more than what I heard last night, so I wish, that's what, all I can tell you is that's what they're looking at. I do believe, and I am probably going to get this information wrong, but I believe that the city was awarded funding for 2 turf fields from Marion County in terms of our ARPA funds, correct? So that should be coming in the future. We'll say that, in the future. Let's see, I want to check in, I sent an email about the vandalism, and Mayor Clark reminded me that there's been some conversation around the vandalism that's been happening at the Keizer Little League, and that there are, she's asked for estimates for some projects, partly around lighting. So just to check in on that in regards to the vandalism. So that conversation is slowly moving forward. The other thing, I think that there was a request in perhaps about lighting at the amphitheater. To look at some potential solutions at the amphitheater for lighting. Is that a project they're still looking at?
I've heard a tiny bit about that.
About as much as I have, so that's great. Good pair we are. But I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that that was a request as well, to get some additional lighting. I did also send an email to Tim Wood to get an update on the Pier Court, status of Pier Court. So hopefully we'll have more information next month. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. You had said you had other business. That's the only reason why I looked at you. But it wasn't, but does before Matt speaks, does anybody else have other business? Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
I am really excited. So one of the first opportunities that we can have for just really great engagement is this Saturday. We have our annual Civic Center cleanup. And we typically get 100 to 150 volunteers over the course of time. So it's this Saturday from 9 to noon. It's a great family-friendly project. Typically, small groups will get together and they'll pick a corner and they'll go in and rake up and get the debris and all that kind of stuff. But it's one of those ones where I think for people to start engaging and maybe go put a half an hour, or a full day of work into it, this is a really good one. We're going to be providing, the city's going to be providing cookies and refreshments, and it's a huge impact. We clean up everything from Bailey all the way around the front of the Civic Center, all the way down to the end of the skate park, all of Chalmers Jones, everything around. And so it's really, really good work. People of all skill sets and abilities are welcome. We do need people that are willing to sit there and do the really boring work of making sure people sign their waivers. And we need folks that, are strong and capable of lifting the trash bins into the 30-yard debris bin. I can tell you right now, when people stack the grass in there and they compact it, those things can weigh a couple 100 pounds. And so I think my first year, we had a high schooler that was probably could have been a D lineman for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he sat there and just one arm grabbed these things and was just throwing them in. It was amazing. It was the only year so far that it rained, and he was out there in shorts and a tank top. But it's a great project. Again, anybody's welcome. 9 o'clock to noon. This Friday, they're actually going to start trimming, and so the Keizer Men of Action Group put out a call for that to do the trimming this Friday. But it's just one of those ways that I think is super great to engage and do some really good work. So Robert, I think, did an inventory of some of our tools and should be getting us more tools, right?
Yep.
So that's one of the nice low-cost things that the city does to help make sure that we're successful in this project. Of course, a parks rake or something always walks away, and we ended up getting a rake or shovel named Steve or Bob. We had 2 Sallys and a Lisa last year, so that was cool. But we bring the blue tape and say, please make sure to write your name. Not literally, we actually want your given name or a name you will recognize to take your rake away. I found 2 last year that said your name. It was a teenage kid that thought it was really funny, and But we get church groups, we get ROTC out there, we get Satellite Gamers a couple years in a row came out and did it. So it's just a really good opportunity. If you got a small group of folks that want to come hang out and clean up for a couple hours, it's great. And this year, April 23rd, we are resurrecting the Soggy Day in the Park. We're calling it the Soggy Day in the Park, the redo. The last couple of years, because of COVID, we haven't been able to do it. And this is going to be a really cool event because we're actually partnering with the city of Keizer in a different way this year. So the city of Keizer Environmental Group and Willamette River Keepers will be doing a service project from, I think it's 9 a.m. to noon. And there's a couple elements to that. And then from noon, 11 or noon till about 2 or 3, we'll have the Soggy Day event. And my really good friend, like one of the most amazing people on the planet, Santiago Lopez, is going to be coming out with Sancho's Tacos and giving out tacos. And then we're going to have our bounce house again this year. We'll have the jet boat rides provided by Mr. Callier. Robert Johnson, I'm hoping he gets stuck in the backhoe again this year.
My back still hurts from 3 years ago.
So Robert came out and did the backhoe, and he stood bent over in the backhoe for the entire 3.5 hour time. And he had a line of kids that was never less than 5 people deep. And he got in there and showed them how to operate the backhoe. And it's one of the best features we have. The last year we did it, it got stuck, but that wasn't Robert's fault because he wasn't there. But it's just a super great day. It's a free event. Anybody's welcome to come. We do minimal advertising, but we'll be doing a little bit more this year because we're combining with the City of Keizer Environmental and River Keepers. And so we're thinking we're probably going to have a couple, 300 people there. Our biggest numbers one year was 250. And so one of the things that I am asking is if you're in the business community or you feel really compelled to partner in this, we are looking for some sponsorship. It's going to cost me about $2,000 to do this event. And so part of that's paying for the bounce house and then offsetting a little bit of the food cost for Santiago. So if you know some folks that might be interested, let me know. We like to promote. The only thing, anybody can bring a booth out. The only thing we can't do is sell. And so a couple of years ago, I think it was one of the State Farm groups came out and they just had a booth up and they had information and people could take their card and call for a quote. But they provided $500 and it was really, really great for the event. So really looking forward to it. It's a lot of work, but it's so much fun. And I think it's just that sort of wraparound buy-in where the kids in the community work so hard over the course of the year and stuff, and they get the opportunity to come and just enjoy this really, really fun day in the park. So,
What day is that again?
April 23rd.
And what's the time again?
So the service project, I believe, starts at 9 a.m. and runs till about well, there's two, so I think it's like 9 AM to 10 or 11, and then it's like 10 or 11 to noon. But we'll kick ours off. I'm still working with Jenny on that to figure out, because I don't want to start having fun and then have everybody go, oh, look, there's fun over here. I can work or I can have fun. So we'll work that out with Jenny, but she's been great. She got a hold of me straight away and said, let's make this one big thing. And I said, great, I like doing that. So really excited to have Jenny on board. So super cool event. Come out for an hour, come out for 25 minutes, bounce house, Robert playing with the joysticks or somebody. It's a lot of fun. It really is. I have yet, this will be our third one. I've yet to do the actual tour on the riverboat or on the jet boat, because Mark Keller says I'm not allowed to be on his boat, which is super rude.
It's messed up.
I told him I'd call him out on it. He didn't believe me. So that's all I got. Good opportunity to. What's that? It's on TV.
Just called him out now.
Good opportunity to do the service project this Saturday, and another one on the 23rd, plus a really great day in the park.
Wonderful.
I have a lot of questions. I thought we were going to give food to the people on this Saturday.
I'm sorry?
I thought we were going to feed these people that are volunteering on this Saturday. I've been telling everybody we're going to feed them, and cookies and refreshments kind of doesn't cut it.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry?
I mean, it kind of doesn't cut it.
I mean,
I can get some pizzas. We talked about that a little bit.
yeah. Last year we had a group that came in and actually did the food, and unfortunately it didn't work this year, but I mean, cookies are food. I'm pretty sure there's a character on Sesame Street that really likes them.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Robert. We might be able to, you know.
Is there something I can do and help with this or something like that, or?
Yeah, if you want to, I mean, you tell me what you want to do and we'll find a
I
place
mean, we
for
could
you.
even do hot dogs or something, because that's way cheaper than pizza, right?
Well-
Or,
Yeah, you have to, yeah. There's
you do? Oh,
there's all these rules and potential
Oh.
lawsuits.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll chat.
Indeed.
I mean, if it's going to be pizza, it might be Little Caesars. It's not going to be like Odd Mo's.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
Something fancy, but
Oh, yeah, Odd Mo's is really good.
Right from New York.
nothing wrong with Little Caesars.
Uh-huh.
I miss they don't cut it in squares anymore. That was really cool.
I don't, unless certain pizzas. But last agenda item is, or on other business, is Gwen, are you good to go for reporting out March 21st?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. And we're all wrapped up. 7:12. Have a good night.